Have you ever felt like you're climbing a ladder, but you can't actually see the rungs? Well, today we're going to talk about exactly that, the hidden structure of our society. It's this kind of invisible architecture that shapes our lives, our opportunities, and believe it or not, even the songs we sing.
You know this feeling, right? That raw, deep-down desire to just go, to get a ticket to anywhere. It's a feeling that music just captures so perfectly. And it's so much more than just a personal wish. It's the sound of someone trying to change their spot in the world.
In that feeling, the one packed into just a few lines of a song, it's not just one person's story. It's actually a clue, and it points to a much, much bigger shared experience that's like built into the very fabric of how our society works.
I mean, think about it. You've got Tracy Chapman's character dreaming of leaving a town with no future, or maybe Bon Jovi's Tommy and Gina, living on a prayer. These aren't just great songs. They're telling the stories of real people who are trying to make their way through the system they were born into. And that's the real question, isn't it? If so many of us feel this way, it can't just be about individual luck or making the right or wrong choices. There's got to be some kind of underlying structure at play here. So what is it?
Well, sociologists, they have a name for it. It's called social stratification. And a really good way to think about it is as an invisible ladder. It's the system that organizes all of us into different levels or layers in society.
Okay, so here's the textbook definition. It's a system, and that's a key word, it's not random, that ranks whole categories of people. So we're not talking about ranking you versus me as individuals, but ranking entire groups based on things like wealth, power, and social standing. In this system, it kind of has four basic rules of the game. First, it's a feature of society itself, not just a result of our individual talents or flaws. Second, it sticks around. It tends to carry over from one generation to the next, so where you start in life often has a lot to do with where your parents started. Third, this ladder exists everywhere, in every society, but how it's built, how steep it is, how many rungs it has, that changes from place to place. And finally, and this is so important, it's held up by beliefs. The whole system works because people are taught to see it as normal or even fair. And this image, the pyramid of capitalist system, really paints a picture of this hierarchy. It's a classic for a reason. It shows a structure where the rulers and the super wealthy are right at the top, and they're supported by all these other layers, the military, the clergy, and right down at the bottom, you have the workers, the ones holding the whole thing up. It's a pretty stark visual, and it raises a huge question.
So why does a system like this even exist? Is it just natural? Is it necessary? Sociologists have a few different explanations, but one of the big ones is the conflict perspective. And this theory argues that no, it is absolutely not natural. It sees society less as a big happy family and more as an arena where there's constant struggle.
So from this viewpoint, social stratification isn't some accident. It's actually the result of a power struggle. It's a system that was designed by the people at the top to protect what they have. This view suggests that society is really just a constant competition between different groups for resources and power.
Okay, but wait, if it's a constant struggle, how does the system stay so stable? Why isn't there always chaos? Well, the conflict perspective has a really fascinating idea to explain this. It's called false consciousness. So to put it simply, this means that people in the lower classes can end up believing in the very ideas that actually benefit the ruling class. For instance, the idea that our society is a pure meritocracy, that wealth is always just a direct result of hard work and nothing else. Well, that can be a form of false consciousness. It gets people to blame themselves that they're struggling instead of maybe questioning the structure of the ladder itself.
And this slide just shows that tension so clearly. On the one side, you've got this idealized cartoon of a happy, perfectly functioning system. And right next to it, you have the raw reality of a protest sign that says, "Have nothing left to eat but the rich." It just perfectly captures that huge gap between the official story we're told and the actual lived experience of inequality for a lot of people. Okay, so let's bring all this back home. Once you start to understand this concept of stratification and the theories that try to explain it, the world really does start to look a little different.
All of a sudden, that dream of a fast car, it's not just about getting away anymore. It becomes a symbol for social mobility, for that desire to climb the invisible ladder. The song captures what it feels like to be standing near the bottom, looking all the way up, and just dreaming of a different life on a different rung.
Look, the point of this whole explainer isn't to make you angry or to point fingers. It's really to give you a new lens, a new way to see the world. It's about being able to recognize the invisible architecture that shapes our lives, our opportunities, and yeah, even our art. So,
I'll just leave you with this thought. Now that you know what to look for, where do you see the rungs of the ladder in the world around you?